This video will have spoilers for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, so you've been warned. I will talk about the gameplay, and that will not be that will be spoiler free. But when I get into the story, if you do not want anything ruined for you, please click off and come back after you finish the game, perhaps. I just want to start an intro here talking about the Battlefront games made by EA. I never liked them, and I think I hear the second one's actually pretty good now. But I mean, it's kind of 2 years too late if you ask me. But with the whole controversy about the loot boxes, and I just didn't find the game fun, nor did I find Battlefront 2015 fun. But when I heard there was going to be a single-player, third-person adventure game, I instantly wanted to buy that. And sure enough, I bought it, and it's great. But I just wanted to preface that no, I do not support microtransactions in any way possible. So when a single player game comes out and the only thing that are in the game are cosmetics that can be found in chests throughout the game, I 100% support. Yes, there was pre-order bonuses, but that's completely different, and that's something that you get for pre-ordering the game early. But I only think you should be able to get things through playing, not spending money. I 100% do not agree with that. Okay, so the gameplay. The gameplay is honestly amazing. There's no other way to put it. The game isn't just a hack and slash as much as I enjoyed Force Unleashed 1 and 2. You know, the fighting is precise, there's parrying, dodging, and blocking. There's also parkour aspects, like wall running, swinging vine to vine, or rope to rope, depending on the planet that you're on. There's also wall climbing, that's also something you'll see a lot. Swimming also has a play in the game, not as often as the other three will. Ziplining's pretty prominent as well. You'll also come across things on planets as you go. A slicer, something that lets you go up zip lines. What else? You can get a two-bladed lightsaber, two-sided. You can also customize your lightsabers at those stations as well that you find these things. You can also hack probe droids, security droids, and there's a few other things that you can get as well. I would also like to point out a lot of the game, not a lot, but a good amount, is parkour and problem solving on tombs that you will go find on planets such as Zepho. Zepho is the main prominent planet of the game. It's brand new. You'll find out more about that in the story section, or if you buy the game for yourself and play it, which I highly recommend you do. But yes, you go back to pretty much every planet twice. There's only one exception. Two exceptions. I will not mention those here. I'd rather have you guys go experience them for yourself. But yeah, you'll go back to every planet twice. For reasons I'm not going to say here as well. But yes, you do go back twice, and it's good because you can explore more places. Another thing, you can find stim crates around the planets that give you more stims that will help you in boss fights within the game. I highly suggest you find these, at least get 3. Find 3 crates so you can have 5 stims. They go a long way, make your life so much easier. In the skill tree, that is amazing, and I would tell you what you should get first, but it really is all preference. Like, yes, it makes a difference, but I think it's what you want to focus on more. But the force and the survival were my key focuses, and I'll just say that's what I prefer. That's completely up to you. So there's the ship, the Mantis. You can pick what planets to go to. There is a free-roaming aspect. The game isn't super linear, but it's not completely not linear. But you don't have to be doing the story all the way through, which is great. You can go to other planets in advance. Well, Dathomir, you can. The game looks great as well. There's a few spots on planets where you can just examine the world, and the game looks fantastic. The motion capture they did for this game is so good, and it is amazing, and it just does the game justice. I can't imagine this game without motion capture. After playing it and finishing it with motion capture, it looks so good, and I absolutely adore the game. It runs really well as well, and it's just all around really good. I think this is going to wrap up the gameplay section, going on to the story now. Since this is a story, this is spoiler section. I just want to make sure you remember that, and here we go. So, Cal Kestis. Let's just start with him. Right off the bat, I didn't really think he was a bad character. I actually kind of liked him. A decent amount, actually. But as the game goes on, you find out way more about him. But he also has the ability where he can sense echoes through the Force, which is a rare power that not every Jedi has. But on certain planets and certain sections of the planets, you learn more about him through that. But as the story goes on, you try to get a holocron that you go to planet going through the tombs that I mentioned earlier, but that has the names of all of Force-sensitive children. That way, you're trying to get it to rebuild the Order, and you don't want the Inquisitors or the Empire getting it. The story really does build off itself really well as you progress, especially with Cal. There's a turning point in the game that I think really defines Cal's character. On Dathomir, your first time that you go there that affects the story. You go into the temple, and you go in to get the ashram, and you try to get in there, and you can't. And then he remembers Order 66. And you see this traumatic event through his eyes, the purge of the Jedi. And you see what he goes through, and you kind of understand what it felt like to be on a ship during Order 66. It's super powerful. And his master dies. And in the escape pod with him, and his lightsaber was his master's. But you just see how this could scar somebody and affect them. And he never leaves Baraka after it lands. So he just lives his whole life on this planet taking apart ships. Republic ships, his ship. And no one knows, but he's a Jedi, and that that's something that probably reaches to him and nags him. But he feels like his master's death is his fault. Then he has a vision, I guess you would say, where he kills his master. His master basically says, "Yeah, my death was your fault." Cal loses it, and he shatters the Kyber crystal, or destroys his lightsaber, damages it, well, his master's lightsaber. That defines Cal, and shows that he is scared of being a failure, of not a good Jedi, of someone that his master would be ashamed of. That shows a lot. It shows a weakness, a lot of weakness for Cal, and I think that's really important to see, and he's portrayed so well by Cameron, the voice actor, and motion capture. That the motion capture for Cal, it is so good. And he goes back and faces his demons. It's just brilliant. And then you get the ashram, you go back to and you go to get it, and he puts in the ashram, and he goes to get the holocron, and he sees a vision of him training the younglings. He's walking, and eventually the Empire finds them, and they get captured, and they all become Inquisitors, and they're like, why would Cal do this to us? Why would Master Cal do this to us? And you see Cal, an Inquisitor up there, and then he sees himself through the wall, and he shatters it. Right when he goes to grab the holocron, the second Inquisitor, which by then you already know is Trilla, Cere's old master, shows up, and they fight. He's winning the fight, he essentially wins, and he grabs her lightsaber. You can see the traumatic events of Trilla's past, becoming an Inquisitor, and what Cere went through, and that's powerful as well. You really feel something for Cere, because at a certain point you maybe think Cere isn't on your side. So you go to the fortress where the people get tortured to become Inquisitors, Jedis. and you fight her for the final time, and right when she's starting to turn to the light side, you hear Vader's iconic breathing, and Vader's there. He kills Trilla. Maybe, in that second of redemption for her, just maybe there was something for her, and that gets chopped away. No pun intended. And Vader is not the main focus of the game, so when there is no big boss fight with Vader, I actually kind of prefer that, as if I don't think I would want a big boss fight with Vader because it's not his story. Vader's story is already known. This is about Cal, his journey, Seer, and Trilla's, and that's how I perceive it. And Trilla's, like how Trilla is in Cal's mind, and how Cal wants to be this Jedi that's troubled, then he faces his demons. So he runs from Vader, they escape. So they destroy the holocron at the end because Cal believes the Force should be a part of their destiny and they shouldn't interfere. I think the ending is good, and yeah, I think some people wanted a big boss big boss fight with Vader. I mean, I thought I wanted that too, but after seeing what we got, I really did like it, and it's set up for there to be a second game, and I really hope there is, and maybe we'll see Cal in another media. In conclusion, this game is a masterpiece, and I honestly truly believe that everybody should own this game. I loved it all the way through. It took me 20 hours to beat, but I don't think I wasted those 20 hours. I think they were well spent on something that deserved it. And even if you don't like Star Wars, or it's not your favorite thing, I think this is a game that you would still like. Maybe not love, but you would still enjoy it a lot, as much as I love it. For me anyway, it's looking to be the game of the year for me. There's only a few problems, very minute. I almost don't even want to bash on these things, but I feel like I have to. First, some of the audio isn't synced with the lifts. That isn't that big of a deal, you barely notice it. Sometimes the cutscenes shake, an unnatural shaking that I don't know what causes that. Maybe it was just unlucky on my end, but the main thing is his hands sometimes clip through the poncho. That breaks up the immersion for sure. But the only reason I think that happens is because some cutscenes don't have the poncho, so I'm assuming some cutscenes where this happens, it isn't designed for the poncho to be on, so his hand clips through, or it was just on my playthrough, I don't really know. But all in all, this game is a 9.5. It's a masterpiece.